This is not a ride sharing video. I repeat, this is not a ride sharing video. What up, folks? Once again, it is your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Today, we're going to be talking about the East Palestine disaster in the state of Ohio and asking a question right out to start the day. Should Biden have went to East Palestine as opposed to going to the Ukraine? We're going to be talking about, is President Biden being judged properly on what has went on in that state? Now, we're also going to talk, seeing the fact that President Trump did go out to Ohio. I don't know how you folks believe that makes President Trump look, but nevertheless, those folks needed help, and Trump is there. However, the number one question I want to ask, and I'm going to present some information, and you guys can speak. As always, this is a MAGA-friendly program. MAGA are my preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome too. Show your boys some love. Tap the screen. Get me up to 5,000 likes. Brings more MAGA in terms of the algorithms. I don't ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. But we're going to ask, or better yet, is President Biden being judged properly on his response to Ohio? I want to point out a few things. We're talking about Governor Mike DeWine of Ohio did not request any assistance from FEMA. Not only that, but up to a week after that disaster, he is quoted as saying, quote unquote, I'm not seeing any problems. 2 days after that disaster, he canceled the evacuations and told the citizens it was safe to return to their homes, in which they have found that the air quality, water quality, soil quality is disastrous. The question I want to present today, particularly to my beloved MAGA, conservatives and folks on the right, why is it that Governor DeWine of Ohio is getting a pass on this event? 2 days later, told his citizens to return back home when it was dangerous. 1 month before this chaos, he received money from Norfolk Southern. Norfolk Southern is the railroad company responsible for this. Why are you not hearing any criticism of that governor? We hear criticism of Governor Whitmer all the time during COVID. We even hear criticism of mayors such as Mayor Lori Lightfoot of Chicago for her handling of the city of Chicago. Why are we not hearing anything in regards to Governor Mike DeWine of Florida? He has clearly failed that area, not even requesting help from President Biden, to the point where his own senator, a Ohio senator, Sherrod Brown, who happens to be a Democrat, by the way, wrote a letter to her own governor begging that governor, Mike DeWine, to request help from the federal FEMA administration. So Biden was not going to Ohio, but for some reason the governor was not asking him to come. Why is that governor not being criticized, particularly from my beloved MAGA Republicans and conservatives? As always, I'm going to go to the box. I don't ban, censor, or block anyone for their commentary. Whether you agree with the host or not doesn't mean a damn thing. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 5,000 likes. Let's get it going. All right, looking in the box, we have Legend 1287. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. The
What's
wine is
going
up,
on?
Ohio. What's up, man? So I'm asking the question, why do you think that governor, because we're criticizing the hell out of Biden and Pete Buttigieg for not doing anything for Ohio, but why is their own governor not receiving any criticism?
Me personally, I think it's a pride issue. I think he's too. It's his ego. But
Okay.
on the same token, on the same token, you know, I want to know where is Biden at with this whole train derailment. It's funny.
But wait a minute.
I'm I'm not.
I asked you, why are they not criticizing the governor? You give him a pass because his ego? I mean, that town is
No, I
suffering.
mean,
I,
I'm.
Go ahead.
I mean, I'm not. I'm not giving him a pass. He should have taken. He should have taken the help. You know,
So why is
I know.
why is there no Republican criticism of this guy?
Me personally, that's something I would like to know myself.
Okay.
You know,
Because as I pointed out, less than a little bit over a month before this happened, he took money, took
right,
donations from that railroad company. He told the people in regards to what happened, they could go back home 2 days later when nothing was safe. And even is on record as saying, I don't see any problems. That
right,
governor is
which is
failing the
something,
people. Go ahead.
you're right. He is failing the people, which is something that he should have asked help when it was brought up. Because I was, watching some of the media outlets, and he was saying, well, if the help is offered, he'll take it. But the help has been offered, and you're not taking it. So
So let me ask
why
you
are
this,
you
because
what my
Let me ask you this, because obviously
so my,
Biden is a
right,
Democrat. The governor of Ohio
right,
happens to be Republican. Is it possible that
right?
Republicans are giving that governor a pass and going after Biden because he's a Republican?
In a way, that's what I believe.
Yeah. Is that right?
That's what I believe. It's not right
Yeah.
because
Because
you shouldn't place your constituents or your citizens above everything. Like you should come together as one. If you get what I'm saying.
yeah, I do agree. I totally agree. But as it was pointed out, even on Fox News, for Biden to go there, Pete Buttigieg to go there with the assistance of FEMA, that governor would have had to ask for it first. And when you got the governor who is constantly stating that there's nothing wrong or it's not a big deal, I don't see how we're expecting Biden to override the governor, particularly from a party that promotes states' rights. You want him to override the governor and force the assistance on the people when the representative of the people, meaning Mike DeWine, the governor, is not asking for help.
He should override it because those people are suffering.
So
And
he so if the
the
governor is
reason
not asking for help, he should override it and do it anyway.
he should do it anyway. Because my thing is these people are suffering. You had a train derailment that dumps multiple gallons of toxic chemicals.
Right.
They're needing the help, and he's refusing to take the help. Now, my next question is it because Norfolk Southern paid you off that you're refusing to take the help?
That's a good question. That's
Like,
the whole point of the piece, is that we are going after Biden, full blast. And I'm not saying Biden is, I'm not letting Biden off the hook, but I am asking that question.
right,
Why is no one saying anything about this governor? There are a lot of suspicious circumstances floating around this guy, and you don't hear any
right.
criticism of this guy at all.
That's I'm sure everybody, especially the state of Ohio, they would love to hear it.
Yeah. Fair
But
enough. Hey,
but
go ahead.
I while I'm on here with you, my question is, how is it that Biden, he's overseas while these people are suffering. Now I didn't vote for Trump because some of his views I just didn't agree with. But now I'm starting to see that Trump, he even though he's not president now, he's gone to check on these people to make sure that they're safe, make sure that they're that they are getting what the necessary
You don't think
is
that now Trump went to check on them, gave them water and things like that, which they desperately need. But let me ask you this: do you think any of that was done for photo opportunities?
in a way, in a way I do, but there's something deep down inside. I think this man did it out of the generosity from his heart,
Could be,
and
could be.
that's why that's
Any
why I
idea?
mean,
Any idea? While Trump was there yesterday, he did indeed criticize Biden as well. Any idea, in your opinion, why he did not criticize the governor, who you and I both admit deserves criticism? Didn't say anything about the governor at all.
me personally, I think is due to the fact that they were part of the same party,
Party. Yeah.
but like I said earlier, I mean, it's it's kind of funny how he's gone there and Biden, instead of Biden going over there to make sure that they have what they need, but also too, DeWine is also not off the hook on this one either.
Well, but that's the point. You're saying that, and I agree with you that Trump went to help him. You're saying you believe he did it out of the kindness of his heart, but you're also
Mm-hmm.
admitting even while he was doing it out of the kindness of his heart, he was being biased in his criticism.
That too. That
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Hey, Legend, I got to move it on, but is this our first time talking?
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Come on back through anytime, man. I do got to move it on, though.
All right.
Absolutely. All right. Comments. Trump just salivating over the destruction. Yeah. Well, you gotta admit, Biden left this open. Just like when Trump does things to put his foot in his mouth, the opposition uses that to cash in. Trump did not do anything in that case that any liberal politician would not have done. The entire nation is criticizing Biden for not showing up, going after his administration, namely Pete Buttigieg. Trump feels any opportunity. I would assume that a liberal politician would have done the same. Now, I am pointing out that there is a host of criticism that could be legitimately placed on the governor of Ohio, and nobody on the right seems to have a problem with that. Like I stated before, I've seen plenty of criticism of Governor Whitmer of Michigan during the COVID crisis. Plenty of criticism of Cuomo during the COVID crisis of New York. This Governor DeWine in Ohio is screwing up majorly, or as Trump might say, bigly. Yet you are not hearing much criticism coming from the right on him at all. He actually told those citizens it was safe to go back to their homes only 2 days after the evacuation. He is on record saying, I'm not seeing any problems. Meanwhile, the citizens are suggesting they're having nosebleeds, all sorts of illnesses, and every sample, water, soil, air, shows poor quality. This governor is failing them, and you're not hearing any criticism from the right, including Trump that went to the state yesterday of this guy. That is worthy of bringing up. Let me go back to the box. We'll make it happen with nobody here. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the program. By the way, folks, as always, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 20,000 likes. No banning, no blocking, no censorship is normal. This is a MAGA-friendly program. MAGA are my preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. Nobody's here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm baffled as to how we're criticizing this event in Ohio.
Yeah, see, with that, I've heard, I don't know how true from what digging I have done though, that they were told that things were fine.
By the governor.
Norfolk told the governor things were fine. They had a hired company, they came in to test everything and said everything was fine. That's what he was told at the beginning.
Yeah, but Norfolk is not the spokesperson for the people. If Norfolk is involved in a disaster and they give your administration bad information and you pass that on, your administration gets the blame for that.
Yeah. So I don't know why they're not criticizing him now, being that coming out and like, I don't know how all that's working. I would be on my governor's behind right now.
Any idea why he would have taken so long to request assistance from FEMA? It was over a week.
Did he actually request it, though? I heard they were just showing up because Trump announced he was going.
Well,
I don't
I
think he
believe
actually requested the help.
then that makes it even worse. That
Yeah.
makes it look
Yeah.
even
I mean,
worse.
I'm not helping the situation for the right here, and I tend to lean right, but I'm not helping the situation. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's
And then
that's from all the digging I have done.
yeah. So you do agree that Governor DeWine is an utter failure in this matter in Ohio?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. He needs to
Okay.
check himself. um,
Yeah.
that part definitely.
I mean, now obviously, I'm assuming you believe Biden should have went to Ohio as opposed to being over there with Zelensky in the Ukraine.
He should have
Okay.
he should have overruled him, knowing, hearing about what was on that train, knowing it could potentially be bad. He should have overruled, said, "Hey, we need to get these people in here to see what's really going on," and that would have made
So
a better name for Biden too. It would have showed
perhaps,
people
but
he's actually
let me
looking
ask
out
you
for
this
the people.
question though. But let me ask you this question. You said you lean right. Do you favor states' rights over the federal government?
Yes, yes, I do. Yes.
Okay, the reason I'm asking you that because you're saying even if Ohio had not requested help, meaning the governor, he should have overrode them. What about, say, in Florida during COVID, where Governor DeSantis is leaving everything open, and let's say the federal government believes he's doing things wrong? Should the president override the governor on COVID?
What if there's testing that needs to be done to see if the people are going to be safe or not? Yes. But with all the science that was coming out, I mean, everything was the same for every state.
Okay.
And
No,
here
but
I live
I
in
guess the
Illinois, which is a Democratic state.
yeah, see, and that's the point
Go
I'm
ahead.
trying to make is how do we where do we draw the line when we're okay with the federal government overriding the state? Because folks on the right do not want the federal government interfering with states' rights. Folks on the left tend to agree with what you said. If the federal government sees something wrong, they should have the power to override it. But that opinion is left up to the federal government.
If it's something where organization like FEMA needs to be involved, I think that's where it should be okay. Like if FEMA or something like that is actually out there to help us, if they need to get involved, that's when the government should be able to override.
So just basically tell the governor, regardless of what you're saying, we believe you need FEMA and we're going to step in anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know that for a states' rights, if you believe in states' rights, that sure sounds like you're, I mean, because you
Well,
mean, go ahead.
well, the organization, the president and all of them are supposed to be there to help us, right? Like when the states can't agree or they can't come up with something, the president and all of them are supposed to be there to help that situation. Okay,
Well, but if the governor is making it, if the governor has been to the site of the disaster and he's making quotes like, I'm not seeing any problems, which is an actual quote he made, you want the president to still come in there when the actual governor who can contact the president is saying, I'm not seeing any problems. He don't told the people to go back home and safe.
well, here's going to come my conspiracy theory part, but we all know the government watches us, right?
That is
Like
true.
we have all heard that, right? Okay.
That is true.
So whenever the people of the state, not the governor, not those high horses, people that got stuff up their butts, we don't care about them. When the people are talking and
Right.
saying things are bad, that's when if you want your name to be there for the people, you should step in for the people.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Let's say, even though the governor is saying, I don't see any problems and telling people to go home, and Biden overrides and goes down there anyway, what are the chances? Because you said you lean right. What are the chances that folks on the right would be pointing out that Biden is forcing himself on the Ohio people for a photo op? They didn't ask him to even come down here, yet he's down here walking around like he's some big and bad guy with nobody requesting him. What are the chances that might happen?
Well, there's gonna be it's 100% going to happen. I mean, same
Yeah.
thing's happening on the other side of the aisle right now, is it not?
Yeah. So in other
I
words,
mean, it's going to happen.
yeah. So in other words, it's the damned if you do, damned if you don't
Yeah,
situation.
but whenever
Yeah.
you're helping the people of the state, I think that's a situation where put yourself in there for the damned if I do.
Well,
Let's let
you
the
gotta
people know
think.
we're here for them.
Yeah, but when you say put yourself in there for the damned if you do, that's exactly what the liberal administration thought they were doing during COVID, putting themselves in there for the damned if you do, and they got criticized heavily for, talking about shutting places down and things like that. So
Yeah, but
the,
how
the
many of the people was talking, how many, I didn't hear too many people of the state, not governors and stuff, just the people. I didn't hear too many people griping about COVID like I am
oh
of
yeah,
this train wreck.
you did not hear all of the nurses on television saying their ICUs were full and the funeral homes in a lot of towns saying they were
Well,
overbooked and couldn't even hold
okay,
services. You didn't hear any of that?
I saw that on the news. I did not ever hear a person on social media or go into any of the hospitals. I didn't see what they were talking about on the news. My
You didn't see
hospital over
any
here,
of that
dude,
on
it was,
social media. All of the TikToks of
yeah,
nurses crying on social media. You never seen any of that?
I've seen some of them, but I mean,
Okay, there we go. All right, I'm working with you.
but
All right,
if
I
you
gotta
go
move
and
it
pay
on.
attention to
Nobody, go ahead.
videos,
I'll give you
if
the
you
last
pay
word. Go
attention to
ahead.
those videos, I've seen a lot of empty rooms. Did they just move the dead ones out? Is that why they were empty? Why were they empty? If they were complaining that everything was full, why was I seeing empty rooms? See, I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. All right, come on back through anytime.
All right,
Nobody
thanks for
here.
having me.
Good talk. Always a pleasure. All right, looking in the comments, folks. It is selective memory. What do you say? Selective memory, like they do with the Bible. Foursquare champ. Yeah, selective memory is no good. Bro, you're wrong for that. Says Steve's T. Wrong for what? Let me know in the comments. Elaborate on that. Bye, caller. Caller is ill-informed. Conversation going in circles. Well, just a man, it's always about hearing the opinion of the folks. I make it clear on this program. One reason why I do not ban, block, or censor anyone is because I value your First Amendment rights to free speech as much as I do my own. I learn a lot from you folks, just like hopefully some of the things I portray on you, you can learn things from it as well. But there are no know-it-alls anywhere in this forum. We all can learn more. Anyone who believes they know it all, feel free to log out because your ass don't know it all. But nevertheless, I'm going to go back to the box and we'll bring up the Purple Lion. I see my boy 52 is in it. 52 never dis. Let's keep it going. All right, Purple Lion, welcome back to the program.
Hey, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. Trying to figure out this debacle out in Ohio. Biden is getting a hellified amount of criticism for going there instead of, should have went there instead of going to the Ukraine. But I'm asking, why is there no criticism of Governor DeWine in Ohio? There's virtually no criticism of this guy at all.
Well, in all honesty, by law, the federal government is involved due to the amount of hazmat spillage. That falls under the Federal Highway Commission, Rail Commission, and DOT and the EPA. So at the very least, Pete Buttigieg should be out there forefront from the Biden administration. The governor doesn't have much say-so over it right now because
Wait a
of the
minute.
amount of spillage.
But let's take what you just said. You're saying by law, due to the amount of waste that was spilled, Pete Buttigieg and the federal government should be there. If you know that as a citizen, wouldn't you assume that the governor would know that as well? Yet he was not requesting the government to come there. Why is that?
Because the governor is not doing his job and learning about the responsibilities of hazmat disasters or hazmat release into the environment. That's his fault, and that's where he's getting into trouble.
Well, but speaking of him getting into trouble, I watch a lot of right-wing media. I'm not hearing this guy criticized at all. In fact, Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown, who happens to be a Democrat, actually sent a letter to the governor begging him to ask for assistance. So you know that the government should be there. You know that FEMA should be in there. The governor, as you pointed out, is not doing his job. But yet, when you watch right-wing media, it's all Biden, Biden, Biden. You don't hear them criticizing this guy at all. Why is that?
Well, I do lean right, but also central on this kind of a matter. And I'm trained in hazmat cleanup. The governor shouldn't be asking for any help. This is all a federal level cleanup right now and responsibility. The federal government should be already there seeing what is going on, seeing the amount of spillage, and they should be doing what needs to be done to have the amount of response there to do the proper cleanup. This is out of Norfolk's hands right now. It's above their level. It's above the state's level. So I criticize the governor for running his mouth. I'll tell you that right now. He should be running his mouth.
What about the part where the governor, 2 days after the event, told the people it was safe to go back home, even though the soil, the air, and water was testing to poisonous levels? Do you hold a governor for putting people in jeopardy, putting people in danger?
Absolutely. For number one, it is not his position to do that because he doesn't have the idea of what's going on. Number two, like I said, his mouth is what's getting him in trouble, like Trump. They run their mouth before they know the facts.
Unlike Trump, this guy is getting people killed. There are people, they had a CNN town hall last night where people were saying they're coming up sick because the governor told them to go back. I'm still trying to figure out, even with Trump going there yesterday, no criticism of this governor at all. None at all. Just pointing out is the folks that are criticizing Biden dropping the ball on this governor.
Well, they should be, because he shouldn't be saying any of that. Even I know better than that, and I'm not fully trained in hazmat cleanup for that kind of a level of cleanup. That is a massive level of cleanup. And for them to say within 48 hours that everything's all right is wrong on so many levels of the cleanup responsibility. So, and I don't know that governor. I didn't know if he's a Republican or Democrat. I don't know. But his mouth, his mouth is his worst enemy.
I'll let you continue, but let me interrupt and ask this. In regards to, you okay over there?
Yes, sir. It's just my semi.
Okay, just to interrupt, I'll let you continue, but in regards to not knowing if the governor is Democrat or Republican, knowing that they've criticized everybody from, Governor Whitmer in Michigan for her COVID handling, down to Mayor Lori Lightfoot of Chicago for her issues with Chicago. If Governor DeWine was a Democrat, do you think the Republicans would still be giving him a pass to this nature?
Well, no, because that's the political realm that we live in. The other side will always point the finger at the other side, whether they're right or wrong. It doesn't matter. They'll twist it the way they want to do it. Trump going there yesterday, that was just a photo op. Just like if Biden was not in office and he's running for it, he would still be there for a photo op. That's all that is. I don't care what anybody says, and I'm a Republican. It's a photo op. But the media and everybody's not seeing who is actually responsible for the cleanup. They're just wanting to point fingers and do what they want instead of facing the facts.
So in other words, it's not really about helping the people. It's about doing it for political gain.
Exactly.
Wow. And I agree.
Yeah, in my opinion, Buttigieg should be in front of all this right now because this is under his watch. This is his responsibility. This is his department of the government. So he needs to respond to all this because the ball lands with him on this.
Yeah. And I don't disagree that the Biden administration has put their foot in their mouth and left themselves open for this criticism. But I do have to question whether, or better yet, what was their point in this when the governor is saying that I don't see any problems? I mean, because there are a lot of situations in the future where a state is going to be saying there's nothing wrong here, and the last thing we want is the federal government to step in. For instance, in, let's say, a city like New Orleans, where there's a hell of a lot of firearm deaths and people getting shot, do we want the federal government to step in and impose a gun law for the safety of the people? No, we don't want the federal government to override the governor. So I don't see why in Ohio we're okay for something that down the line we would never be in favor of.
Well, this more falls in line with a disaster is why that the government, and in its way, the government's been set up since the 1920s when the U.S. DOT was put together in 1964.
Yeah, but doesn't the state have to first declare a disaster? I mean, do we have many disasters where the governor was saying everything was okay and the federal government went in there anyway? Are there many examples like that out there?
I don't know if there is on
Yeah.
something like that, so I really can't say. I just know I've got some knowledge in this area of this hazmat spill up cleanup is where they're having issues. Now, the other issues I can't say because I don't have the knowledge.
Fair enough. All right, Purple Lion. Good talk, man. Don't kill yourself out there. I hear all kinds of shit falling around. Come
That's
on back
called
anytime.
that's called work being done.
I like it. Good talk. All right,
Have a good
going
day.
back to you too. Governor is pulling the strings. He is the one to blame. And you know, Penny P, that is the whole reason why I wanted to come on here and talk to the folks is because, yeah, there is no denying that there is biased criticism here. President Trump even went to that town yesterday. And yeah, not one complaint of the governor. You think if this happened in Michigan, President Trump would go to Michigan and not say a damn thing about Governor Whitmer? He would use this to attack her just as much as Biden. They would be linking them together on this. But for some reason, this gets Biden criticism and the governor gets a pass. By the way, folks, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 35,000 likes. 900 plus of you in here. You could be any damn where you want to be on social media. The fact that you're here with your boy, it's always a pleasure. I don't ban or censor or block anyone. We make this happen without a moderator. Going back to the box. It is the one and only, never disappoints. I always love hearing this commentary. 52 Cent. Talk to your boy. 52. To the program. Biden goes to the Ukraine as opposed to going to Ohio. What say you?
Well, I say Purple Lion hit the nail on the head. He
So
said the balls always land on Peter Make Your Booty Jiggle. That's right. That man loves balls. He could have never said anything more accurate than that.
So, but you do agree with my last caller that indeed the criticism that's being launched by the right, your beloved MAGA as well, you believe that they are being biased in their criticism?
No, hell no. And we want Trump in Ohio. Photo op or not, we want Trump here, and we love DeWine.
So do you think your governor's doing a good job?
Yes.
On this disaster, you think he's doing a good job?
He does a good job on everything. He probably handled COVID better than any other governor in the country.
So when he told the folks that it was safe to go back home 2 days after this happened, you thought that was the right thing to do?
If that's what his advisors told him, he's not going to go down there and take a soil sample or an air sample. But if he was told it's safe to go back, then that's on the scientists or whoever did the investigation.
Come on, 52. You really think it works like that? If you have an administration and you hire scientists or you appoint folks over these organizations, if they give you bad information, you think that as a governor you get to blame these unknown people and there's no blame on you who are appointing these people?
We only bring the best and brightest in this party.
Yeah, last guy that said that served only one term in Washington. I've heard that before. That don't
So far,
work.
One term so far.
Oh, so you think you will be back?
I hope so. We need him.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think that the way Biden performing overseas with the Russians, it's helping his poll numbers. In fact, I was watching Fox News of all places. Even Fox is admitting that Biden's poll numbers have went up. The price of eggs is not hurting them enough.
I see these chickens running around with gold rings and chains.
Explain that. What does that mean? Tell me, you got chickens looking like Run DMC around your house?
These chickens look like Mr. T on steroids is what they look like.
All right, okay.
No,
Go ahead.
All these people are saying, well, Trump removed regulations that allowed this train to crash.
Yeah.
Well, Biden's been in office 2 years. If those regulations were so important, why didn't he reimpose them?
I mean, that's a fair question. You have any issues at all with the fact that Norfolk Southern, the railroad responsible for this disaster, less than a month ago donated a nice amount of change to your governor? You have any problem with that?
They donate to everybody.
Okay. But
The
yet they donated
railroads, the
Go ahead.
railroads lobby both parties because they know
Yeah.
they're screwed if the wrong one gets in or if they haven't pleased them all.
So why did your governor take so long to ask for FEMA assistance? If the Biden administration should have stepped in and helped, why did it take your governor so long to ask for help?
Why did our governor have to ask?
Because that's the procedure. You have to declare an emergency. You don't, like I said, if you want states' rights, you don't want the federal government stepping in and telling your state you're going through a natural disaster, whether you think you are or not. Because we could always use gun deaths and go to any state out there and say, look, too many people in this state are dying from guns. It is a pandemic. It's an epidemic. We're going to ban guns in this state. You don't want that. So the governor has to declare an emergency. He didn't do it. Why is that?
Whatever he was advised apparently was incorrect.
But you don't.
I really think it goes to their advisors. These guys aren't chemists. They're not people that are going to go out and check air quality. He gets his advice from other people. And if they told him it was okay, maybe he's responsible for jumping the gun. Maybe that you can blame him for that. But I guarantee you there's no elected official down there taking soil samples.
So let me ask you that. So if you're suggesting that the governor's advisors maybe gave him bad information, how would you respond if Pete Buttigieg or President Biden said our advisors told us there was no need to be in Ohio? Would you accept that?
You'd have to. You don't. The problem whenever there is a disaster, whether it be a municipality, a city, the state, the nation, there's too many irons in the fire.
Okay. All right.
There's too many switches got to be thrown.
Okay. So at the end of the day, then let's not blame Pete Buttigieg or Biden anymore. Their advisors told him it was all good down there. So they didn't do anything wrong, correct?
Let me take you back to a time when they had that big hurricane down in Louisiana. And everybody saw in the news people standing on the roofs of their houses. Okay?
Yeah.
They're flooded up to the roof. There's a whole family sitting waiting to be rescued. Well, they need to be fed. There is 15 military bases within an hour of Shreveport. Or, I'm sorry, an hour of where the hell Mardi Gras is.
New Orleans.
Why couldn't they drop MREs in the water from a helicopter that would float up to these houses? Am I the only one smart enough to think of that?
Well, first of all, you have to take in consideration George W. Bush took a hell of a lot of criticism for his response on Hurricane Katrina because he was too slow to move. Nevertheless, just like I'm pointing out Governor DeWine of Ohio, the governor of Louisiana and the Mayor Ray Nagin was the mayor of New Orleans at that time. Both of them took a hellified amount of criticism because just like in Ohio's case, they were too slow to tell the people this is a serious disaster. They moved too slow. You had school buses and things that could have ushered people out of there that stayed in place and ultimately got flooded out. So if you move too slow, you do get blamed. But in this case with Ohio, for some reason, they're skipping over the governor, which makes no sense to me. I'll give you the last word, though. 52? Did I lose you?
Oh, no. I was trying to express my wisdom properly. I know. The main thing is my president, Donald Trump, beat balls on Peter make your booty jiggle down there by a day.
All right, 52. Booty, make balls on, make your booty jiggle. I get it. I know you're talking about Booty Judge, but
Hey, hey, at least he wasn't figuring out what off ramps were racist.
oh my God, I gotta go. Come on back to anytime.
Love you,
All
Tim.
right.
Have a good one.
Always, as I always promise, I don't ban, censor, or block anyone. 52 Cent is a friend of the program. We don't agree politically on the damn thing, but he never disappoints. Always welcome back. All right, looking in the comments, he lost some sense. Okay, he isn't president anymore. John Rudolph, no, Trump is not president anymore, and some would suggest he probably never will be, but we'll see what happens in 2024. That Trump waters really made a difference in Ohio. I don't think so. I mean, listen, people needed water, and it was very nice of him to go down there and do that, even if it was a photo op. I don't care if you help me out during my time of need for a photo op, political gain, or any reason why you do it. If I need help and you show up, that's all I really give a damn about. But there is no denying that what Trump did, as some of my folks that have called before, even that lean right, have admitted he did it for a photo op. I mean, there's no denying that. This skipping over Governor DeWine and all of the things he's failed on shows that it's biased. Because if Trump had went to Michigan under these same circumstances, he would have criticized the hell out of Governor Whitmer. Yet he said virtually nothing about the Ohio governor. We can point to Biden and suggest that Biden and Buttigieg should have been there, but the governor should actually have been setting off alarm bells in this as well. And not only did he not set off alarm bells, he was telling people, I see nothing wrong. So, yeah, he looks horrible in this. But let me go back to the box. It is Bionic Man Keith. Welcome back. So it's the, what does it say? So it's the caddy's fault for the bad shot, not the golfer's fault. Depends on where the caddy put the ball. I mean, shit. The caddy can make mistakes as well. Depends on whoever set the ball down there. I don't play golf, but I'm just simply saying it should be the person taking the swing's fault, but there are other mistakes that can be made. Bionic Man, good afternoon.
This is the kind of thing that pisses me off because at times like this, we need to put politics aside. People are getting sick. It's affecting people's livelihood. It's affecting where people live. And it's like,
Right.
and people are fucking around between the left and the right. And they need to put this stuff aside. It's like the Stafford Act of 1998, which was amended, requires the governor of the affected state to ask for federal help of the president for FEMA. Everybody can look up the Stafford Act. So FEMA cannot just step in. The president cannot override that. The governor needs to ask for help. Just like when Chris Christie asked Obama for help, and everybody gave him a ton of shit for that crap. And Chris Christie said, I don't care about politics right now. My people are suffering. Their houses are underwater. People have lost their livelihood. At what point do we put politics aside when people are suffering? This is ridiculous. I blame the governor for this stuff, and I blame Pete Buttigieg for this. It's like,
what about Biden though? Do you think he should have went to Ohio as opposed to going to help Zelensky in Ukraine?
He should have called up Pete Buttigieg and said, "Get your ass down there." I don't blame Biden for not showing up for something like that, but as the boss, you're the boss, right? You've hired the Secretary of Transportation. You get on the phone and you say, "Hey, Pete, get your ass down there right now. Get on a plane and get over there." That's your responsibility.
Let me ask you this, because you brought up the Stafford Act, which I'm pleading ignorance on, and that's why I like having these conversations, because I'm not totally aware of the Stafford Act, but I will do my homework on that. But when you brought that up, if the governor is not asking for help, and according to you, the Stafford Act requires him to ask for help, if Biden calls Pete Buttigieg and says, "Get your ass down there," what is he supposed to do if Pete Buttigieg responds back and says, "Well, sir, you know we have the Stafford Act. They're not asking for help"?
you go talk to the governor and you try to convince him, hey, man, this is what we can do for you. This is the amount of money that we can give you. This is the kind of resources that we can supply for you. This is what we can do for your people. Let's put politics aside right now and let's help the people. If he denies it, you can come back out and say, we talked to the governor. He does not want federal help.
Listen to what you're suggesting, and I'm not accusing you of being right. I know you don't lean necessarily right, but you're suggesting that the big government, such as Pete Buttigieg, operating on behalf of the federal government, he should step in and try to force himself on the states whose governor is saying we don't need your help. So that would be the federal government overriding states' rights and trying to force themselves on the people. If Pete Buttigieg had done that, how might the right view that?
I don't care how the right would have viewed that. This goes back to, I don't care about the politics. You need to put the politics aside. And Pete and the governor should say, I don't care how people view this.
Yeah, but according to you, still have the Stafford Act. So you're begging somebody to ask for help that's telling you they don't need it.
You try to convince him. You do your best.
So we're really going to criticize Pete Buttigieg for not begging the state of Ohio to take their help?
Well, as far as what I seen, what Pete was doing, it's like he didn't do anything. He was like, well, they don't need me right now. I'll go down there, when the time is right. It's been 3 weeks, dude. When is the time going to be right?
Well, the time is going to be right when they call and ask you for help. We're literally begging. We're literally complaining that Pete Buttigieg, although he was not called, was not proactive in trying to force himself on Ohio.
Ohio's the Secretary of Transportation. You should have made an effort. Okay. Make an effort. You're the Secretary of Transportation. Make an effort. I don't care that he's not asking for the help. You actually interject and call him up on the phone. Call him up and say, hey, what's going on? This is what we can do. I can come down there. If you don't want to come down there, that's fine. This is the resources we can give you. This is the amount of money that we can give you. This is the support that we can give you. This is the kind of resources that we have available.
I get your point, but here's the issue I have. And by the way, folks, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 55,000 of us in here. Feel free to tap the screen. Let your thumbs not be lazy. I don't ban, block, or censor anyone. Show your boy some love. Help out the algorithms. The issue I have, Keith, is that this almost reminds me of the Tom Cruise movie Minority Report, where they were arresting people proactively for what they might do. We're literally punishing Pete Buttigieg for not proactively stepping in when he was not being asked. You should know that this state, even though they're telling you nothing is wrong or not asking you for help, you should be savvy enough to go around them and know they need help anyway. And we're faulting you for not taking proactive action on a state that never asked you for help.
But isn't that your job as the transportation secretary? I mean, here you have a major disaster in this country. A major disaster in this country.
Yeah, but it's a major disaster, and the people on the ground there are saying we don't need help.
Then you try to give them help if they say we don't want the help, and then you go, hey, we called them up, we asked them, we told them this is the amount of resources that we can give them, this is the amount of money that we can give them, and at least that way you can say, hey, this is what we did, and the governor said no.
Yeah, but if the governor said no, even if I would continue. Now, you did admit we should stop being tribal and going political on this, but I want to say it from this angle, that if Pete Buttigieg had did exactly what you suggested, made the phone call, told the governor what type of assistance he could get, and if the governor had said no, people would still be criticizing him for saying, he should have did it anyway. I mean, I don't think Pete Buttigieg could have won in this situation.
you got to make an attempt. You got to make an attempt. You
Oh,
know,
fair enough. Go ahead.
you know, it's got to come from the top. You know, Biden should have called him up and said, make an attempt, call him up, get on a plane, do whatever. You know,
Yeah.
meet face to face. You don't have to do this big photo op. It doesn't have to be on Fox and on MSNBC. It's like you can get on a plane, fly down there in a couple of hours, like get in a car, drive over to his office, meet behind closed doors, and go, "Hey, man, this is what we can do for you." It's like it doesn't need to be a photo op.
But wouldn't the governor kind of know this stuff already? I mean, wouldn't he know that FEMA could help him out if it's a disaster? I mean, he knows he has the right to declare an emergency anytime something happens. You're the governor of, there's only 50 states. You happen to reach the governor of one of these. You don't know this already?
Tim, you're reading my mind right now, aren't you?
But I'm like, damn, literally gotta beg the man to take help. You're in control of a state with millions of people in. Why don't you know this stuff already? It's like me going to my high school teacher and asking her, well, could you teach me division? How did you get in high school? How do you know?
This is what I started the whole conversation out with, though. It's the games that these fuckers play. And they both do it on the left and on the right. And this is the shit that pisses me off when it comes to natural. I'm going to give you a perfect example. Okay, in Florida. And I don't care whether you're on the left or the right. It's like, take politics out of this for a second. You had the governor of Florida that when that last hurricane was heading towards Florida, he asked states of Democrats and Republicans to get all of their electrical, like all of the trucks that deal with like all of their power lines and everything, right? And he had trucks coming from states everywhere, whether they were Democrat. The trucks were not Democrat and Republican trucks, right?
Right.
And DeSantis had them coming from fucking everywhere. Well, because he knew the power lines were coming down.
Well, maybe DeSantis might be the best guy going forward. You know, DeSantis gets a lot of compliments from everybody except Trump. But I got to move it on, Keith.
You got to put the politics aside. In moments like this, that's what's got to happen. And these guys got to swallow their pride.
Yeah, and everybody I know don't like to swallow, but that's a personal conversation. But yeah, I don't know if we can get them to do that. So catch you later, man.
Take care. Right.
Absolutely. Jenny, by the way, appreciate the TikTok cap. Yeah, I tend to say that, but I was in a deep conversation there. But going back to the box real quick, as always, I don't ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. I like to give the spiel because the numbers of folks in here rotates constantly. Just so you know, don't let the name of the program steer you wrong. This is a MAGA-friendly program. I don't ban, block, or censor anyone. I tend to favor your First Amendment free speech rights just like my own. So my opinion does not trump here. If you disagree with the host, doesn't mean a damn thing. We might have to talk it out a bit, but I won't ban you for your commentary. All right, going back to the box, it is Preacher SL. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the program. Preacher. For some reason, I think it dropped him out of here. Ukraine trip was planned well in advance. Not going would have shown weakness. Well, emphatic in regards to not going to Ukraine would have showed weakness. Weakness to who? Because half of the folks in the country, particularly my beloved MAGA and folks on the right, they don't want America helping the Ukraine out at all. I have conversations on virtually every live that the money going to the Ukrainians should have been used for something here in the United States. So as far as folks are on the right are concerned, it won't make Biden look any weaker than he already does. Well, shit, to some degree, folks on the right believe Biden's about to drop dead. So you really cannot get any weaker if you're talking to somebody on the right. because they believe Biden is about as weak as a dead dandelion. All right, going back to the box. We'll keep it moving with Mark Sidney Crosby. TikTok moves the names around, so I'm trying to remember the order, but I can't. I'm an old man. The memory is only so good. I got to mention I'm running for president. Mark Sidney Crosby.
Hey,
Good afternoon.
hey, I love what you do, man. You try to have open conversations each way.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I have to say, I went
Is this
on a
our
conservative
first
diet.
time talking? Is this our first time talking?
No, it's not.
Okay, different
We
name.
talked before. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Um.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So,
I
what
have.
do you?
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying. Do you see biased complaints on this whole Ohio debacle where they're going after Biden and Buttigieg without a doubt, but the governor of Ohio is not getting a lot of criticism?
Pete Buttigieg will always be a target for the right because he happens to be a gay American. They don't like
You're
that.
saying that? Are you suggesting that the right is anti-LGBT?
Yes.
Give me some examples. Elaborate.
So they are the ones that are passing anti-LGBT legislation. Is the right? I have not seen legislation come from the Democrats that restricts teachers from being able to talk about gay issues or banning gay books. I have not seen any of that from the Democrat.
Yeah, somebody said over 200 bills. Wow. So
Yeah.
So you think that that's what it is? I mean, I don't disagree with that. I've said before on numerous lives that anytime, at least from my own humble analysis, and I watch a lot of right wing media, anytime I hear LGBTQIA individuals being discussed on right wing media, it is something negative. You're going in the wrong restroom, you're playing for the wrong team, you're having shows that my kids shouldn't see. It's always negative. So yeah, I do understand where you're coming from. I haven't seen much positive or much that's in favor of that community from folks on the right.
Let me ask you this question, sir. Trump had a Secretary of Transportation. When was she even mentioned, other than being Mitch McConnell's wife?
Yeah. Well, did we have any what major event took place during his time that maybe the transportation department failed us on?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to go on that
Because
memory.
that's why it would come. Now, also, I will say this as well, because of the nature of Trump being so controversial. He was taking all of the shots that may have been normally aimed at members of his administration because he was constantly out there in fights. You didn't really have to aim at anybody lower. He was putting himself out there with a bullseye on. So any criticism that normally would have went to these people probably went to Trump himself.
And like much like Hillary Clinton, Pete Buttigieg is seen as a rising star in the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
So what do you do for somebody who may or may not run for a higher office from the power that they have? You start to tear them down systematically. And he's very smart. He's very well spoken, and it's not. He can humanize an issue like no other person. Like if you want to see the issue of abortion humanized, check out Pete Buttigieg's response to Fox News questions about that issue.
I haven't seen that. I would like to see that. But let me ask you this in regards to Pete Buttigieg, and you suggesting that he's a rising star. Do you think America currently in 2023, 2024, or hell, even maybe 2028, has the stomach for a gay commander-in-chief yet? You think we're there?
I'd have to say it would have to be against the right person where he just looked like the better option. And people were willing to open their minds and their hearts to somebody like that. But I think for right now, for what I've seen, the backlash is that I'd have to say no. And that pains me to say that.
Buttigieg versus Trump. Where do you think America would go?
I think you would have a lot of of the same, and you'd have it would all come down to 4 or 5 states, just like the Biden versus Trump. You would see somebody who's smart with empathy versus somebody who idealize, you know, and emphasizes power over, and whether it's bullying or not. And so you would see a lot of the same. I think the blue states would be very blue, and the red states would be very red, and it would all come down to the same 10 or 9 states. But I will say, he has the potential to be, president, and that's what they keep attacking him for, and they will systematically attack him for that. But I wanted to come on to say that I don't, I don't understand Trump supporters for this simple fact that you have somebody who can bald-facedly lie to you, and you just accept that. When Trump went to Ohio, he specifically said Biden refused to help Ohio. That is a bald-faced lie. And we had video of the governor saying he called him and did not call him back. We know it's a lie, but then they clap. I don't get that. I will never understand that.
Well, I think it's the and I'm obviously not MAGA, but I think it's the direction that Trump was leading America in, that they favor. They have their eyes on the prize to the point where they're not going to distractions like dishonesty and things like that are not going to. I mean, they like the vision Trump has for America, and if we can get that vision, they're willing to ignore, some of those crazy talking points, jokes, tweets, and things like that. That's what I believe it is.
I guess you do have a point, sir. But you know what? And I won't take up much of your time because I know you have a lot of people requesting. But I'll tell you the one reason why I will never trust Trump, and I really never hated anybody in my life, but I really don't like that man. It's because I was, I'm a healthcare worker. I've been a healthcare worker for 20 years. And because of the things that Donald Trump said, he made my job harder, and made a lot of my coworkers' jobs harder. And
I'm curious. Before I move on, I'm curious. What did he say as a healthcare worker that made your job more difficult?
Right. He pushed conspiracy theories about the virus of COVID itself. He pushed conspiracies about different medications that were not proven to work. And worst of all, he pushed conspiracies that, healthcare workers were making this up to get more money, and that we were stealing personal protective equipment. And he was trying to use this all as a distraction, that the virus wasn't getting better and people were
Did he really
still
say,
dying.
wait a minute, did he really say that you guys were making up COVID to get paid, to get more money?
Yes. Yes, he said that in several rallies, that doctors were inventing COVID diagnoses to get more money. And he did say that healthcare workers were stealing masks and other PPE equipment. And it filtered down. It's still there. I mean, when I was in a COVID testing site. We were outside swabbing people, and we, for the first few months, we were doing, the work, and we saw people very appreciative. People were sending us food. People were standing across the way applauding us. And it was nice. We were trying to, we were scared too. We didn't want to get sick. But then that, COVID fatigue started to set in, and he started to run his mouth, and he started to promote all this conspiracy garbage. And next thing you know, we have people, and this really happened to me. People would come up to us and saying, "You guys are making all this out to make Trump look bad." They would drive through the COVID testing site and just pull down their window just to yell at us. And then you know, when we were working in the ER, we had people just go off on these long rants. You're not giving me hydroxychloroquine, like Trump said, you know, would work because you want me to die. Or there's no such thing as a COVID. You know, I don't have COVID. There's no such thing.
Yeah.
You know,
All right,
stuff
I don't
like
want to.
that.
I don't want to get too deep into it, but damn, I didn't know it was that bad. But
Yeah,
come on
if you
back to me,
worked in
Timmy. I don't
healthcare,
even.
you
I don't
saw
even have
all
anything to.
this.
Yeah, I don't even have anything to say that sounds so bad. But yeah, anytime, Mark, come on back through, man. Wow.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Real quick, someone, I think it was Thick 1969 said, and the host will believe everything he's told, I guess, insinuating that my last caller was not being honest and I'm just so naive, I'm believing it anyway. As I always say, I'm never above the point where I'm not willing to admit ignorance. When he stated that Trump made these claims, I immediately asked him, is that because I'm pleading ignorance? I'm not saying I believe or disbelieve anything. I'm saying that I damn sure do not know everything, and I will never be here perpetrating myself as a know-it-all. So in regards to whether Trump said this stuff, there were no shortage of folks in the comments saying, yeah, he did say that stuff. So it's not about believing everything I'm told. It's about hearing the message from the folks. And the guy making the comment, think 1969, if you come in the box, I'd be willing to talk to you just the same. Perhaps you would say something that folks would feel the same way, that I'm naive enough to be listening to you. That is the whole thing about not banning, blocking, or censoring anyone from their opinions. People are going to have a different opinion. If I only took the opinions I believed in, this would be a liberal echo chamber. There are tons of places on TikTok where everybody in the box has a red hat on, and every liberal on the program is a libtard. There are plenty of programs where everybody's a liberal and they hate Trump. We try to do this from both sides of the aisle with a civilized mindset of an approach, which is why we have both folks talking from both sides of the aisle. Do it civilized, no moderators. If this is the type of dialogue you like, feel free to follow the program. Nevertheless, we'll keep it moving. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 80,000 likes. Let's keep it going with, I always forget the pronunciation of this, but we'll just bring in whiskey golf. I always forget what those acronyms. But good afternoon. HCSA was at fault at my hospital. Good afternoon.
Tim. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm doing good.
Yeah.
We're talking about Governor Mike DeWine of Ohio. Why is he not getting criticism when we're getting plenty of it in regards to Biden and Pete Buttigieg?
He is getting a lot of criticism, and
From
maybe as
where?
well as he should, from the left and a lot of left outlets, and that's maybe he should. The thing is, I'm not real 100% on this, but if you were to do a crime at a railway, who would prosecute you?
Wait, repeat that question.
If you were to do a crime at a railway, if you were to sabotage a train rail, who would prosecute you?
Well, sabotage, I mean, wouldn't that be a federal issue if you're messing with the nation's railways?
Right.
Yeah.
This is my point. So when this boils down to this, should it have been a federal involvement, meaning the federal government, or a state involvement?
Well, the federal government, if they are not there to see the crime, wouldn't it be the job of the state to point out what happened and give them a call? Like, for instance, if a bank is robbed, that's a federal crime. But you're generally going to have the local police called there first, and then they will in turn pass the case over to the FBI. If the local police are saying there was no crime, we want the FBI to take over anyway, did not happen. The governor of Ohio, given his own quote, he said, I'm not seeing any problems. So what is the federal government supposed to do? Just come down there anyway and push their weight on everybody?
In my opinion, yes, absolutely. In this instance, and as far as the governor goes, even if he were taking advice from somebody that, quote, gave him bad advice, he's the governor. The buck stops there. He should have been smart enough to say something isn't right here. No matter what you're telling me, I'm getting other people involved. Should he take blame for this? 100%. The buck stops there.
Let me ask you this question also, because in regards to you mentioning the railways are of federal concern,
Yeah.
the governor 2 days after this mess told the people it was safe to go home. If the railway in this spill is a federal concern, why didn't he immediately call in the federal government to check the soil levels, the air quality, as opposed to just blindly telling the people it's safe and you can go home?
Well, there's one person that can answer that, and that would be he himself. The only thing we can
But we're
do,
not holding him accountable.
that's what I'm saying, and we should. There absolutely should be. And like I said, even if he was given bad advice, he should have ignored that advice and been 100% sure in anything that he came to the public with. It doesn't matter who gave him advice. It doesn't matter. The buck stops with him, period. But the EPA and the Secretary of Transportation should have been involved no matter what. So this is a multifaceted thing, especially when it comes to a federal railway. It's multi-jurisdictional. Who has jurisdictional prudence? It's
Okay,
the
I
federal
get your
government.
point. So you are indeed saying that there was failures at all levels.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But he should not have came out and told his citizens. See, the president and the governor has two jobs per our Constitution. One, uphold the law. Two, keep your citizens safe. If you fail at your job, you need to step down. He came out and unequivocally said that his people were safe, go back home. He should resign.
Mm. Why? Now Trump went there yesterday, and in addition to helping the folks out, giving them water and things like that, he criticized the hell out of the Biden administration. He too said virtually nothing about the governor. I mean, are we looking at biased criticism from Trump?
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I think what he did was phenomenal, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. There's a lot of other millionaires, celebrities, on and on, that could have stepped up and done something and didn't. However, I think when you do something like that and then you come out and grab a mic and get recognition for yourself, kind of cheapens the action itself. I think that that was in poor taste, but what he did was a great thing. But that's kind
Yeah.
of what a leader does. Now, as far as like, people are criticizing Biden for going to Ukraine. It wasn't an emergency visit. He didn't have to do that. I don't care how far along it was, you know, scheduled. Even in midair, if there's a crisis here at home, you're the president of the United States. He should have stayed here and saw through.
Well,
Or,
wait a minute. You're saying even in midair, if it's a crisis,
yeah,
if the governor is saying, I see no problems, how do you know in midair there's a crisis?
because you're the president, you should know everything about everything. All I'm saying is that in some people's eyes, it shows that he actually cared more about what's going on with Zelensky as opposed to what's going on here at home. In some people's eyes, I'm just saying.
Mhm.
Now, if he should have addressed the nation, even from Air Force One, should have said something. He should have called, and I agree with Keith on a lot of things that he said. He should have picked up the red phone and said, Pete, get your ass to work. This is your job. He should have done something or addressed
Okay.
something as the leader of the free world. That's my point. I think there's a lot of finger pointing
Yeah.
in different directions, but it doesn't solve the problem. Just like the Flint water crisis right here, I've got friends and family that's there, and a lot of people blamed Obama. A lot of people blame Snyder, and I'm like, these kids are sick. Who gives a shit who takes the blame? Let's
Yeah.
get to work.
Well, they're all
So
doing it as Keith
yeah,
and you both are pointing out. They're all doing it for personal political gain. So
it's
even
sick.
Trump, even if you believe, like you said, what Trump did is what a leader does and all of that, yeah, but he's also doing it for personal political gain as well. So I don't think any of these folks are really interested in just simply helping these people out. They're doing it all for an agenda.
Well, that was my point. He showed up, he did a great thing, but he never should have grabbed the mic and downed other people for not stepping up. You cheapened what you just did.
But would that have been Trump? If Trump had did what you're suggesting, would that have even been Trump?
That's a difficult one to answer. Who knows? I guess it's a
Yeah.
matter of opinion. You know what I mean?
Can
But
you imagine Trump showing up, giving everybody water, helping everybody out, and not saying shit? I mean, can
now
you
that
even
would have been
imagine
great.
Trump?
That would
Yeah,
have been great. You know,
yeah, but is he even capable of that?
who knows? I don't hang out with the dude, so I have no
Right.
idea. You know,
I think even if the man lost his voice, he would hire a signer to sign what he wanted to say. That guy is going to talk. Yeah, he's going to talk.
do it in ad lib, right? There you
Yeah,
go.
but
Yeah.
don't blame Trump, so to speak. I get what you're saying. He took the mic and took credit, but being fair, calling a spade, no matter who's dealing the cards, any liberal leader would have done the same thing. They would have used that as a photo op as well. I'm not, Trump does overstep in a lot of areas, but what he did in Ohio, I think that if the situation was reversed and Trump was in office and folks were saying that he's not going to Ohio, I think a liberal would have went there and did all of the same photo ops, bias criticism. I think
Oh,
a
yeah.
liberal would have did the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not just, he doesn't hold a monopoly on arrogance, so
Yeah.
it would have been
No,
the
he don't
same all
hold
the
a
way across.
monopoly on it, but he is a cut above the rest. He's a bit more. He goes a bit further than the average.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Got to move it on.
All
You're
right,
always
take care.
welcome back.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So at the end of the day, I'm trying to figure out from you folks. Most of my folks on the right, tap the screen. 90,000 likes is possible. Shit, 100,000 if you guys show your boys some love. But I'm trying to figure out, this day and age, we have a liberal commander-in-chief. I'm often having arguments and debates with folks who believe in states' rights. However, when it comes to this situation, I'm hearing time in and time again, particularly from folks who lean right, that President Biden, along with his transportation secretary, Pete Buttigieg, should have overrode what information he was receiving from a state, which would essentially be he's trumping states' rights at no request from the state. The problem I have with this is, where does it end? If President Biden can look at what's going on in Ohio, and even though he's not being even though Ohio's not requesting any assistance of him, he should override them and go there anyway. Where does it end? What if something else is being done in the state that a liberal administration disagrees with? Are you okay with them overriding it in that case? I don't want us to just have an agenda, is the point I'm making. This is a time when people in Ohio are suffering. The president didn't show up. Hey, a bunch of political capital. We can go after Biden. But what about in the future? What about if something else is happening in the future? I pointed out the gun debate because that comes up all the time, and undoubtedly there will be another mass casualty event. Probably somebody might be getting shot right damn now, but there certainly will be another one coming up. Why do I say that? Because we haven't done shit to stop the last one. We haven't done anything. Every time this happens, we get the response of thoughts and prayers and we move on. So let's say the next mass casualty event happens. A liberal president steps in. There's been 20 school shootings in Florida. So what I decided to do, even though DeSantis is not asking for help, we're going to go down there and we're going to impose tough gun laws because the people need us, just like they needed us in Ohio. Are you okay with it then? That's the point I'm trying to make, is that you can't say in one situation you're okay with the president going around the government, going around the powers of the state, and then next time he does it, all of a sudden he's wrong. Either you're for states' rights or you're not. Going back to the box. Kobe Barker. Good afternoon, Kobe. What does it say? You can talk all you want. Your God. Wait a minute. You can talk all you want. Your God, Trump, is going to jail. Trump is God now? Where did that happen? I don't even go to church. Okay, I don't know what happened to my last caller, but looks like TikTok is making something happen where it won't bring them on. We'll continue moving on then. We'll make it happen with Craig Smith has been holding on. I appreciate you hanging in there, Craig. TikTok allows this one to come through. Something's wrong with the box. This happens all the damn time. While that's happening, I'll keep it moving. Double tap the screen, guys. Yes, appreciate that. A-Rod, 100,000. Shout out to you folks who have been tapping the screen. Trump has his own Bible. Is that right, Elisa? But okay, who do we have on here?
You got Craig, man.
Okay, because for some reason the box is not showing you up there. But what do you think in regards to Ohio? Should Biden have went there instead of Ukraine?
I mean, I think he could have probably went, but
Do you fault him for not going there?
No, I don't fault him for not going there.
So, go ahead.
I'm well, now I'll be through in a minute. I had a customer in the store. No, I don't fault him for not going there.
So if you don't fault him, you don't see where he's done anything wrong then.
I mean, I do see something wrong, but
What did he do wrong?
I mean, I feel like he could have said something or something, but let me just say this. Regulations, we all say regulation is important, right?
Right.
Didn't Obama put in regulations to the rail system back when he was in there?
I believe Trump reversed some of that stuff.
That's what I'm coming to. And
Yeah.
Trump reversed it. I seen a couple people say he didn't reverse it. Then I seen a couple people say, well, Biden had 2 years to change it. Trump had 4 years to put Hillary Clinton in jail. Okay, we can get past that.
Good comeback. That's a good comeback.
Trump went down to Ohio for a photo op, period. Trump didn't say nothing about he deregulated that industry for that particular.
I actually think he tried to deny it.
I think he did too. I think he said,
yeah.
So I don't care what nobody say. Trump is just setting y'all up for another fall. I don't care what nobody say. Trump is setting
Elaborate. Give me your description of what would constitute as a fall. Let's say Trump run. Well, we know he's running, but give me what your opinion of is a fall.
Oh Lord, another January 6th.
Oh shit. Well, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene, if that happens again, they're going to be armed and they're going to win.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Another January 6th. I mean, it doesn't make sense. That governor is dead wrong. And for nobody not to blame that governor, like they blaming Pete Buttigieg and all these other folks, it's a shame. That's just politics and money. That's all it is. And I hate that because you got people down there that's actually suffering.
Well, those people down there, though, they also are blaming Biden.
For what? Because he didn't show up?
They're blaming Biden. Yeah, they are blaming him. They're saying exactly what you said because he didn't show up.
That's political. That's the talking point and all the rest of that stuff. What could he have done? He would have been taking resources from what they need to do while they down there. He can do everything.
Well, it should be noted. It should be noted though that the people in that area, East Palestine, is overwhelmingly Trump country. So you wouldn't expect him, even if Biden had showed up and helped him. I don't expect Biden would, just like when Biden, or better yet, when Obama went to help Chris Christie after Hurricane Sandy. Folks who did not like Obama was not giving him a lot of credit for that. In fact, they attacked Chris Christie for giving Obama a hug for helping him out. So if Biden had went to that area, I don't think he would have walked away with any credit.
And what kind of sense did that make? People hurting.
Yeah.
That don't make no sense at all. But I just wanted to say that, man, these people they keep forgetting that Trump deregulated that industry. Them cars would not have been coming through there as many or whatever, how much there was or whatever, they'd have been diverted another way. So you got a lot of blame, and I'm not saying Trump is to blame, but he deregulated. Yes, Biden had 2 years to put it back together.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It's a lot of stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of stuff going on in this world today. But come on now, y'all, they need to get off of that. I mean, I hate that. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate Trump. I don't even like Biden.
Do you think Biden is doing a poor job as commander-in-chief?
He could do it better.
But everybody can do better. Letter grade. If you had to give him a letter grade, what would you give him? Anybody can do better.
I don't think he's doing a bad job. I mean, if I was to grade him, I would grade him at about a C+. I grade him about a C plus.
What would you have given Trump?
I don't know because it's kind of mixed there because Trump came in on an economy that was moving up. So he had a lot. I mean, he could have tanked the economy, but I give Trump a C plus too. Cause I ain't seen too much. I ain't seen too much Trump did for real. You know, I mean he.
So would you giving both Trump and Biden a C plus, and it's looking like both Trump and Biden are moving on to have a rematch. Where would your vote go?
My vote is definitely going to Biden. I would not vote for Trump if they gave me $1 million. Seriously, and I need it. And I need it right now. And I
You think he's
wouldn't do
that
it.
bad?
I would not do it. I don't care what nobody say in his comments or anything. I would not do it. Trump.
Why not? What would make you turn down 7 figures to get
Trump.
his? I mean, what would make you turn that down? What has he done that's that bad?
That's just like eating a rotten apple versus a perfectly good apple. Why would I want? I mean, don't get me wrong. I know both of them doing their little stuff, but Trump was just doing it right out in public, man. I mean, right out in your face. He was just.
He did all of this shit. You wouldn't vote for him for $1 million, but yet he walked away with a C plus from you. How did that happen?
I'm gonna tell you right now, $1 million would do me good, but you can't just buy me. You can't just buy me. No, I need it. I need it right now, but I ain't gonna hold you up because I know you got a lot of people. But I just wanted to say that y'all got to look at it. Trump deregulated that industry. That's why that happened. Because them folks was looking at money over people's lives and stuff. Now you got all these people down here. Man, I'm in Alabama and I could see that I wouldn't have went back to my house in no 2 days.
Yeah. That's on the governor. That part certainly is on the governor. But all right, Craig, come on back through. All right, good. All right, now that may not even for $1 million. Do I have anybody else in the comments section that would turn down 7 figures to reelect the Donald as president? 7 figures, and the man said I could use the $1 million, and I still would turn it down. That is a significant amount of rejection. Wow. Looking in the comments, I see a whole bunch of folks that said me. 7 figures, huh? Wow. I don't know. I mean, the guy is running for 2024, but if you got constituents, voters out there saying they would turn down 7 figures, shit, he may have more of an uphill battle than even I originally thought. Turn down $1 million. I don't know. You know, this would almost sound like, and excuse my language, but as a kid, when you're in high school, would you suck a dick for $1 million? No, yeah, because ain't nobody put $1 million in front of your ass. I'm just going to say, but $1 million is a lot of money to turn down a vote for. I don't know. Listen, I'm liberal. Obviously, you see the name of the program. No denying I am liberal, but $1 million. Listen, I don't know. I don't know if I can even consider turning down 7 figures. He only gonna be around for 4 more years. What the hell you expecting, Joseph Stalin? $1 million. Wow. All right, let me move it on. You guys are crazy. You guys, I see somebody said Trump derangement syndrome. Trump derangement syndrome, bro, is Trump derangement syndrome. You know, in regards to that comment, I can't see the name, Mr. French or something like that. By the way, tap the screen. I don't know. We may walk away with 110,000 if you guys show your boy some love. Still got a few more minutes on this lunch break live. But in regards to Trump derangement syndrome, and I'll go right back to the box. Here's the problem I have with the entire Trump derangement syndrome, the phrasing of it. From what I've been able to observe, the only way you can have Trump derangement syndrome is if you are critical of the former commander-in-chief. Meaning that I could take my vehicle and put big-ass 8-foot flags of President Trump on it. I could paint the entire hood with Trump's face on it. And nobody would accuse me of having Trump derangement syndrome. But the minute I started having a conversation about why I thought Trump was maybe not a good president, suddenly I got a bad case of Trump derangement syndrome. So it's really weird because I've asked folks that. If you believe folks that talk about Trump all the time have Trump derangement syndrome, What do you say about people who's actually wearing his face, his hat, his clothes, his apparel? What do you call them? Patriots? So the whole wording of it never made sense to me, but maybe I'm just out in space on this. Maybe I need to be educated on it. But yeah, the whole Trump derangement syndrome phrase, in my opinion, seems to be only possible if you are critical of the president. All right, going to the box. We'll go to, I can't even pronounce some of the names in here, but we'll make it happen. We'll go to Zdeek. I cannot pronounce the rest of that, but we'll make it happen. Good afternoon and welcome to the program. I'll bet you hide that hat after lunch. No, put it on the seat next to the car. I happen to be in an area. That's a really interesting point because there are parts of this country where having this hat can get your car windows busted. But there are also parts of this country where this hat could get you out of a speeding ticket. Trump is a very divisive person. So your comment that the hat has to be hidden, that doesn't fall on deaf ears. And being candid, this is a second hat. Somebody broke in my car and stole my first MAGA hat. Don't know why, don't know how, but they did steal it. All right, going back to the box. I don't know what the hell happened with my last caller. Portland hid Trump rallies. They hid them? How can you hide a rally? How do you do that? Hair done left scared of you thoughts. I don't get that one either. For some reason, my box does not seem to be working. The hat stands for no respect, no love for the country, says Brett. So you believe the Trump hat stands for no love, no respect of the country. Now, I will give you this information that I've heard. You folks can let me know if you think I'm getting it wrong. But there are folks that suggest, due to the controversial nature of this hat behind yours truly, that it will ultimately go down in history with a legacy that is similar to the Confederate flag. Meaning that this hat will be shrouded in controversy anytime it is seen, probably for generations. So this hat, long after Trump has passed away, putting on this hat will take up on some type of controversial meaning, some type of message. Some would argue very similar to the Confederate flag. So if you're seen walking down the street with this hat on, people will automatically judge you to be a certain type of person. I don't know. I'll let you guys tackle that one because there are Biden hats. Obama had clothing. Clinton, Reagan, they all had clothing. If you put on a Reagan t-shirt, nobody has a crazy opinion of you. But this hat does energize the mindset of people on both sides of the aisle. Maybe the legacy will go away, maybe it won't, but there are folks that are saying that this is going to be a controversial piece of apparel for the rest of our lifetimes. All right, let me go back to the box. I don't know what the hell's happening with my callers. We'll try it one more time with White Hype. White Hype. I love the unique names. I'll let the caller explain it, but let's make it happen. White Hype. Uncle Tom, love this man, says Josh number. I got to stay in every program. I get called an uncle generally by people who look like me. Who do I have here?
Shane White.
Okay, because I can't see you in the box. Okay, so you're white-eyed. All right, so what do you think?
Yeah, I'm white-eyed.
Do you think? Go ahead.
Well, my first point, definitely I'm from Canada, so I'm kind of looking from outside of the box, but I'm in Fort Erie, right next to Buffalo, so I get a lot of your news on my television,
What are you? Okay, let me ask you that. So you were Maple Leaf. So what do you Maple Leafs or Canadians? What do you believe? How do you guys view our president? Say Trump and Biden. If you're that close, like you said, you're watching a lot of our media. Hell, you can pick up the radio stations at that distance. But how do you folks view, say, Biden versus Trump?
I don't want to interrupt you, but can we answer that in a minute? And like this governor of Ohio, I believe he should have resigned already. That's a disgrace. I can't even say enough on that. He should have already. And to blame your advisors, like I'd fire every one of those advisors. Like Rudy 17, the buck stops here.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't
like
disagree with any. Yeah, I said that when someone brought that up, that it's his advisors and things like that. I've said that before. That when you're the coach of a team, you get credit if the team wins or loses. If you're the coach, you don't get to blame the quarterback for making a bad throw. You're the coach. You're the one that put this team together. And I do agree that blaming your advisors is a cop out.
yeah, I wish there were more people like across the world that should be helping Ohio right now. Like people are hurting.
But they're not
Uh,
asking. What can you do if the state
hmm,
did not ask for help? You got
yeah,
folks
yeah,
that are
yeah.
looking. Go ahead.
That's hey, I'm from Ontario. That's like my state province, right? We call them provinces. Ontario. I'm for the province or the state to be in charge, but when you have people, your people asking for help, that's where it all changes. When the people are asking for help, the people need help. I think maybe
Well, but
Biden
the
should have
people
already been there.
wait a minute. The people are always going to ask for help. Let me give you an example. Right now, one of our most popular governors in this country, Governor Ron DeSantis down in Florida, there are black people in his
Mm.
state complaining that they cannot vote. There are lesbian and gay and trans folks in his state that are complaining that their freedoms are being taken away. Should folks from other parts of the country, if not the world, go in and override DeSantis and help those people that's asking for help?
No, no. But I'm talking. I'm not talking about the government. I'm not talking about the government. We're at the end of the day, we're all human. Humans should be
Right.
helping humans. That's our nature. Our nature is to help one another, not to. We can't cast blame yet. We don't even know what happened to the derailment. And I seen on the news here. I've been a fireman for 25 years, and that is not a controlled burn. A controlled burn is when you control the amount of oxygen, the amount of fuel, the proper a proper controlled burn is in a compartment. You can't control a burn out in nature. There is no controlled burn in nature.
Now the
There's going to
controlled
be side
burn.
effects.
Now the alleged controlled burn was implemented by the railroad, and I'm assuming they got permission to do that from the state. So is this where you're also saying that governor should resign and he's failing the people?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, he's failed the people because anytime there's a controlled burn, there is no soot. There is nothing in the smoke. The smoke would be very, very white. You know, when it's
Oh.
black, that's when there's things that haven't been fully burned. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you burn a piece of wood, you're only going to burn 80% of it. 20% is going to be stuck on the chimney or, going to be out in the air and it'll fall as ash. So no matter what, there's a problem down there.
Wow. Yeah, you're giving me the scientific portion of it from your own background. I'm not. Yeah, I don't know a lot about fire science, but wow. So they, even though they're saying it's a controlled burn, what you believe is that they're misleading the people and essentially burning particles and putting them into the atmosphere.
Yes, sir. And not just the atmosphere. Like what's most important is it's going into our ground. Our ground feeds us, right?
Yeah.
We get all our nourishment from the ground.
So why do you think the governor would have? So why do you think that the folks that are saying this is a controlled burn are telling the people that? Because they would clearly know what you're saying as well.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I don't want to, because I have my politics as well. I don't want to bring politics into this right now.
But just for shits and giggles. I'm not going to hold you to account to your answer, but I just want to hear what's on your mind because you have this background. What do you think is the reason why they would say that, even though it's not a controlled burn?
Probably to get rid of it as fast as they can. If they left that lying around, geez, what would you do if I had 10 freaking rail cars? I'd want to get rid of it as fast as I could. You know what I mean? Like in high school, you're running around with your 5-6 joints. You want to get rid of those joints. You don't want teacher to catch you with them, right? Like
Man. This
Oh
sounds
boy.
straight out of an episode of Law and Order or something. I actually believe you because, yeah, you're trying to hide the evidence. What you're saying makes a hell of a lot of sense. Wow, that's
And you know
terrible.
what? You know what? I come from, a farm. I grew up on a farm. Now I kind of live in a smaller city. I can see Buffalo from my living room window. So
Shout out to
I have a,
Sarah Palin. You can see Buffalo from your house. Shout out to Sarah Palin. But
I
go
see.
ahead.
No, Sarah Palin's pretty far away, man. Buffalo's New York, bro.
No, she said the same thing, but
They-
she said it about she said it about Russia. I can see Russia from my house. That's
oh yeah. That's
yeah.
funny. That's funny. Yeah. But
But
I think
but what you're saying is not funny at all. Where they
no.
literally are polluting the atmosphere to try to hide the evidence, at least in your opinion.
Yeah, and at the same time, they're going to be critical of us for driving our bloody car to work.
Mm,
They're going to tax us. My prime minister, don't get me started, but he wants us to pay extra for driving our car.
Well, you
Wants
guys
us
have a
to.
clean. Ain't nothing happening in Canada. You guys got a clean country over there. You know, y'all ain't doing nothing
Well,
wrong.
we
You guys are
do.
angels.
Hey, you know what? I want to touch on something. Well, like we have a clean country only because we work together with you guys. Like we had the largest nuclear reactor in the world at one time, 1952. One of your presidents, Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter was a Navy submarine officer. His crew, the Navy, came and saved Ontario in the 50s. You can look it up. Jimmy
I
Carter.
didn't know that. I didn't know. Let me
Yeah,
ask
you
you one
guys.
question. I want to ask you one question before I move it on, but I'm going to ask you this because you are in Canada. How do you feel about gun rights in America compared to your country? Because we have a lot of everybody has access to firearms, assuming that they don't have any mental health or criminal history. But we also have a lot of gun violence here that your country does not have. How do Canadians view our gun rights over here?
We want them. We want the same rights. Yes,
And
absolutely. Because at the end of the day, a gun is for defense. If you're using a gun for offense, that's a different story. You can't take it away for defense from people defending themselves because of 1, 2, 3, 4 guys going on the offense. You need to help. There's a symptom there that you're not addressing just because somebody wants to defend themselves.
Now, in your country, because folks often in America say if you get rid of guns, folks will find another way to do things. Do you guys have anywhere near the amount of children that die in schools that we have over here right now?
Well, it all depends what you say kids are dying from. Yeah, we have kids dying over here, but it's from other things than guns.
Dying from evil people. Do you have cases in Canada where 20 kids go to school and they not come home?
Yeah, but you just got to remember, though. You got to remember, like, we're 38 million, you know? We're like one of your states. So our numbers, we're not going to see it like you are, right? But, like, in my opinion, children should be safe at school. All I can say is I have family in America, too. And where I see lots of guns, I see less crime.
Where the hell have you been visiting? I'm from Chicago.
That's what I can say.
I'm from Chicago. There are plenty of guns in Chicago, and there's a ton of crime.
No. Sorry, I guess I should rephrase that. When I see law-abiding citizens carrying guns in the open carry, being open to show it, whether it's a gun or a knife, you have a knife on your hip, a lot less likely someone's going to come up and cause you harm. You got a 45 on your hip, a heck of a lot less likely somebody's going to come do you harm. They're going to have to be pretty methodical. If you got somebody with a 45 in your classroom, right? If you have somebody with a 45 or 38, even a 22 sitting on Mrs. Thomas at the desk, who's going to open the door and fire on Mrs. Thomas?
Yeah, but how many Mrs. Thomases are you going to have that are willing to get into a gunfight as a part of their job description? You think teachers want to get into gunfights?
how many Mrs. Thomases are you gonna have that are gonna want to get shot at?
That's the point I'm making, is that teachers, when
Mm-hmm.
teachers decide to teach, they don't want to take on
Mm-hmm.
the responsibility of having to use a firearm to defend the classroom. They don't want that as part of their duties.
Well, if they don't, I know. Do you know that for a fact?
Yeah.
You know that factual.
Yeah, I mean,
Factual.
Here's why I will tell you I know that for a fact. Just about every school district in America has a teachers union, and they speak out in
Mm-hmm.
regards to issues they're concerned with. You don't have a bunch of
Yep.
teachers unions promoting that our teachers should be able to take on these duties. I don't think I've ever heard of a teachers union threatening to strike or fighting to have a gun.
No, and that's unfortunate, right? Because it's all about money. It's all about the Benjamins, and that's where it's sick. It's like, I'm sitting in Canada watching this all happen. Do you want your kids safe or not? That's what it comes down to. Do you want them safe or not? Get an officer at the front door who's actually going to shoot back. No, you don't. You got guys standing there looking pretty. It took, 40 minutes for an officer to shoot back? The one, nobody was shooting back. They just let him go for 40 minutes. What's going on?
Yeah, but
those aren't people with a gun.
You think that trained officers in Ubalde that cowered and were afraid to shoot back, but if you give Miss Smith a gun, she's going to go Rambo and shoot back and do what the officers didn't do?
Ooh, I tell you, Mrs. Smith has a lot more invested than that officer who doesn't know much about the people that he's protecting. Tell you, Mrs. Smith has some heart. I tell you that much.
I like to talk to Mrs. Smith. Good point. Hey, come on back to. I do got to move it on, but you're always welcome back.
I know for sure, man. I'll admit I'm a conservative, and I watch you a lot. I like you. I like that. I like you're neutral. I like that you're very neutral. But you guys got to get that governor to resign. I'd be there picketing myself. I'm not that far. But it's scary. I'm in Fort Erie, and we're worried about what we're having. I'm only 395 miles away. That's not that far.
Yeah, and he
from
too
Ohio.
and that governor too is a conservative, by the way. Governor.
I know. Conservative, liberal. I don't care. That guy should be. If he goes on any longer, he's killing people.
Wow. Fair enough. Come on back through. I got to move it on, though, man.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely a pleasure. As always, you know what we do about this time. I appreciate the 118,000. I almost made 120. You guys been rolling with your boy, as I say in every live. You could be anywhere you want to be on this app, and the fact that you've been rolling with your boy is always an honor. Nevertheless, I am on a lunch break live, and like we always do about this time, I do have to roll out. Read a few comments before I do, though. No one is saying every teacher should have a gun, but the ones that want to should be able to. Mad Trucker, okay, in regards to that comment, nobody is saying every teacher should have a gun, but the ones that want to should. I got a few questions that I would have to ask. First of all, let's say a teacher steps up and says that she or he feels comfortable having a firearm in class. And an event goes down like Ubalde or like Parkland, where armed officers stood down, cowered, and were afraid to shoot back. What happens to the teacher that cowers? Do we fire her? Do we hang her at the stake? What's going to happen to the teacher that decided, I'm not going to go out in the hallway and challenge somebody with 1,000 rounds in an AR with this damn pistol on my hip? So, because like the police in Ubalde, we were calling for resignations and everything. So is that teacher's career completely over because she or he chose not to get in the gunfight? So that's the first thing we want to ask. I guess the second major issue would be, how much training should this teacher have? Next, what should be the salary? I mean, if I'm in first grade and you were over there in second grade, and if something happens, you got gunfire duties, how much more do you get paid than I do? Because you sure have a hell of a bigger job description than I do. We don't pay teachers enough now. We don't want to allocate enough money to teachers now, particularly in schools where the classmates or better yet, the students are mainly minorities. And that's oftentimes where you're going to have a lot of this stuff. Now, we know the mass shootings, a lot of that stuff doesn't happen in minority schools, but the one-on-one, there's a hell of a lot of crime in minority schools. Who's going to allocate the money to put armed guards, teachers, and things like that in minority schools? So we got a lot of these issues that are going to come up. But I'd be willing to sit down and hear what the people have to say on that. And last but not least, what happens if the teacher, just like some police officers, just like some military personnel, get PTSD and does something nefarious with that gun? Maybe the teacher themselves decide that the students are yelling, getting out of hand, or maybe one student takes a swing at a teacher, which often happens, and the teacher just gets pissed off and uses their firearm. We only see the teachers that are armed as good guys going after bad guys. Without factoring in, there's a hell of a lot of good guys that do bad shit with their guns. I mean, there's no denying that police right now are constantly in the news. They are good guys doing bad things with their guns. You don't think that would happen among the thousands of teachers we have in this country? One teacher deciding that, well, I'm not going to let this guy talk shit, or I'm not going to let this kid threaten to put his hands on me, and bang. You don't think that might happen with some teachers? There's a whole lot of other moving parts is what I'm saying. But nevertheless, we may be headed down that path where we ultimately find our students going to school with teachers that are either open carrying or packing heat. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Catch you on the next one.